Mask off. I wanna see what's under them achievements. Why believe you? You never gave us nothing to
awesome screenshot of rules. Throw that out the window because Dax broke every single one of his own rules. I'm mostly going to cover his
they no longer feel
weird behaviors around minors.
And what did Jax do? He went behind closed doors. He talked with this kid's mother. This is a 25-minute recording. Instead of letting this kid be alone, and mind you guys, this kid at this time is 16 years old. Jax was 25 years old at the time.
Hi, my name is Gotcha. You most likely do not know me, but from what I've seen from the short amount of time I've known about this community, I have been referenced a couple times, mainly in a bad connotation. And I'd like to let you guys know, Jaxson is not being truthful to you. I met Jaxson back in 2020, where under the guise of friendship, he took advantage of my naivety and groomed me. And then when I called him out on it, he proceeded to gaslight and shun me. It has come to my attention that now he has a new community called Team Sonic Gaming, a community where, although he advertises it as 18+, he allows minors to stay and communicate with him. With the information I have and my own personal knowledge, I have decided that I can no longer stay silent about my experiences with Jaxson, and I must make public what Jaxson has failed to inform his community of. In this video, I will be going over my history with Jaxson, the proof of Jaxson's relation to the photos, screenshots that show his predatory behavior, and an explanation of everything. This video's purpose is to not only get this information I've held for 6 years off my chest, but to also let you and anyone else in his community know who they are truly idolizing. One more thing before I get into explaining everything. Everything that I talk about in this video is also going to be in a Google Doc. I will link that in the description just in case you want to read and find out everything I have to say on your own rather than listening to me explain it in this video, because I don't really make videos. Sorry. Back in 2020, I joined a Naruto-themed Discord server called Jonin Squad. It was a server for a YouTube community similar to Team Sonic Gaming, but with Naruto characters. I mainly joined the server due to the person that had the Kakashi channel at the time, but in the server I also met the mic guy, who was Jaxson. We spoke in VC a couple times and I thought that he was nice to hang around. He was nice and made me feel accepted within the community, so that drew me closer to him as a person. After a while, there was some server drama with him and the community, which eventually caused him to be kicked out of the main community server and left him with his own, which he called Bowl Cut Brigade. However, due to the fact that during the drama, I was on his side and attempted to help him throughout the whole thing, he allowed me into his server and we became closer friends. For a while, all was good. I'd join VC occasionally and he'd be pleased to see me. I enjoyed the attention he gave me, which encouraged me to stick around. However, after a while, that attention began to turn into something more sinister. Before I go deep into the evidence and screenshots that I have, I want to make a connection between the accounts I'm going to show in these screenshots. Keep in mind that these screenshots are from 6 years ago, and this is the only real proof that I have of these accusations, as my old account that will be seen in these screenshots has been disabled and deleted for about 6 years now. During that time, account profiles have changed, and Jaxson himself has multiple different accounts that he uses in general. However, I have proof that the Varick Guy account that is in fact an account that Jaxson used in the past, and the one where he did these predatory actions towards me. Firstly, in mentioning the channel I met Jaxson from, on his most recent video called Guy Might Reacts Shikamaru Has All the Riz, you can see in his description that he has a link to a channel which he refers to as his second channel. If you go to that channel, you're met with a bunch of videos with both his face and his voice. When you compare those to his video on Team Sonic Gaming where he met the Shadow the Hedgehog voice actor, you can tell very clearly that those are the same person. Not to mention the fact that in his video, he's linked his fiance in the description as my artist, and their PFPs are rather similar. Secondly, I have been made aware that he's referenced multiple times that there was an event that happened that caused him not to interact with his fans as much. When saying that, he was referring to me questioning his predatory behavior and him finding out that I was doing so. You'll see proof of that as well later. Well, back in 2022, when I rejoined Bowl Cut Brigade again, he once again made that point clear to me. With this, he's basically claiming the accusations I made against him, once again tying the screenshots I have back to his account. Thirdly, late night on March 8th, a couple friends and I, upon refinding those old screenshots, decided to confront Jaxson in Bowl Cut Brigade. I rejoined the server and called out Jaxson for what he did and showed 1 to 2 of the screenshots from the information I dug up. During this, Jaxson more than once tried to refute the accusations and defend himself by making excuses for his actions and claiming that everything was joking and out of context. Not only will that statement not mean anything in the grand scheme of things once I show you what he did say, but this is also another instance of him claiming that he was indeed the person that said all those things. And for those who are questioning the legitimacy of my connections, here's a clip of him referencing his Team Sonic gaming community by name while I was sending a message to him in his server. I also have a screenshot from his Team Sonic gaming server, one in which he sends a photo of his profile in DMs. As you can see, these profiles are absolutely identical. And if for some reason anyone is questioning if this was truly me, this is the email I got when my account got disabled for me being 12 at the time. That, and also every single one of my socials is the small gotcha. Well, almost every.
Like, comment, subscribe down below, hit the notification bell, and click all. So,
Still wondering, why do you still like him and continue to do what you do? He's in college and working. That's what he is doing. I honestly don't know. He sends a photo of someone we've been talking about and a screwdriver emoji. Bully. Hammer right between his teeth. That's what he did. The thing is, I have that same thing. LMAO. For real? Shrugging emoji. You capping. I have a gap between my teeth. Bullyism. But yeah, all he supposedly does is college and work. No, I seen you smile. It's not like his LMAO. You're fine. If anything, my gap is bigger, but we don't talk about that. I can't respond to that because you're bullshitting. What happened to you? What do you mean? What? Nothing? I'm confused now. Lying, are we? Like you used to talk to me, and now you don't. Nothing happened though. Yeah, I I've just been in Jonin Squad more often. Kinda did though. That's it, lol. Yeah, but why haven't you talked to me? Thought we were friends? We are friends. Then what's up? I've just been in Jonin Squad, lol. And doing school stuff. Gotta get my edumacations. But gotcha. Yeah? You used to talk to me quite a bit. What happened? You completely stopped talking to me in DMs or nothing. I don't know what you want me to say. I want to know why. I've just been in Jonin Squad. Also, your server got taken over. Yeah? Why did it get taken over again? It's a test. A test? People who actually cared stayed and fight with me. Apparently you don't. Damn. I don't have Brawlhalla. You could have still stayed and cheered everyone on, like the others have been, but you didn't. That's true. So, I've just been doing my own things, bro. I don't know what else you want me to say. I actually liked having you around and you just booted out of here. It's because his server's bigger. What? Some more socialization, right? More friends, right? I mean, that is true, his server's bigger. And yes, there are more people. But if you're fighting as hard as you say you are, like, you know my server is there and always active. Yeah, that's true. No. And Jonin Squad dies every 2 seconds. It's fine. It's cool. That makes me think it's not fine. If you don't want to be friends, I will not bother you anymore. Hey! I will not force you to do anything. That's not what I'm saying at all. Sure shown it. I'm just doing my own thing, dude. I'm not trying to avoid anyone. It's not that you're trying, it's that you're forgetting. I didn't know that I was forgettable. Dude, I never forgot you. What do you mean? You sure showed it. Like I said, if you want to be friends, that's cool. Because you surely wasn't there last month, and I needed it the most. I'm sorry. Dude, my grandma died, and my friend died too. Like I'm not fucking around or faking nothing. There's no diss track or nothing. It's real. And still upset about it. I would be too. In rereading these screenshots, I'm not gonna lie, it made me incredibly uncomfortable. Just for reference, if I've forgotten to say it already, at this time, I'm 12 and Jaxson is 20. So for you to be in a minor's DMs, a minor that isn't even considered a teen yet, being like, oh, why don't we talk anymore? I thought we were friends. Why have you stopped talking to me? Is it because you're in that other server? I just feel like that's incredibly inappropriate for an adult to be doing. Don't get me wrong. There's some people that believe that adults shouldn't be talking to minors in general. And while I might be biased in that opinion, since I've been talking to multiple different people ever since 2020, it gets to a point where when you're literally essentially trying to not necessarily force interaction, but this is more so pressuring a minor to interact with you, because you go from saying, oh, we used to talk, to, oh, well, if you actually cared, you would have stayed and been around me, which apparently you don't. When I'm continuing to say, hey, it's just, I've been talking in different servers. I've been trying to juggle both yours and the other server I've been in. But, you know, I still care about you. He's insisting that I don't. And then on top of that, he drops on me that his grandmother and his friend died. Now, for any person to get that dropped on them, that's already incredibly heavy to deal with. However, for you as an adult to say that to a child for the sole purpose of essentially making her feel bad for not talking to you as much as you'd want her to talk to you, that's incredibly inappropriate and out of line. And that should not just be looked over. Now, Jaxson, if I recall correctly, during my little, exposing of you in your bowl cut brigade server, you insisted that I tell you the definition of grooming. Well, I got you. Child grooming is the deliberate, calculated process by which a person builds a relationship, trust, and emotional connection with a child or young person for the purpose of manipulating, exploiting, or sexually abusing them. Grooming is a pattern of behavior, not a single event, and can occur in person or online. Some examples of grooming could be targeting a child perceived as vulnerable, gaining trust and access, providing special attention, isolating the victim, desensitizing the child, and maintaining control. The one that I mainly want to focus on under key characteristics is manipulation. That is exactly what Jaxson was doing in those messages. He was trying to essentially get into my brain that, oh, I'm not being around him as much. I'm not being a good friend. I need to talk to him more. I need to be around him more. And for a while, it worked. It genuinely did work because I did think I was being a bad friend and I felt bad. I truly did. That was all a part of Jackson's plan to get me closer to him and basically build a sense of rapport where, oh, he's this upset about me not being around him. Oh, he must truly care about me. We must truly be friends. Unfortunately, this happens to a bunch of children online, and they don't recognize it, as I didn't when I was 12. Thanks, I appreciate it. No, everything I let you be a part of. You decided that I'd let you do this shot. Look, I'm sorry, guy. No, but I couldn't keep it in any longer. And I understand that I let you down, and I'm sorry. It's just that I tried to let you be a part of something. No. Yes, I realize that. No, you don't, obviously. You want to see serious, guy? If I'm being honest, no. I guess from now on, I'm gonna have to give you the cold shoulder. Understandable? Just like Kakashi. It's all jokes until I do stuff. And you do stuff, it's no big deal, even though you're the big pervert and I even told you at times to cool it down. That's true, I am sus. So get out of here with that. This just really didn't sit fully right with me. Even my friends said even if it was a joke, it went too far. Gotcha. You can't even use that towards me. Reason is because you have made up to 3 YouTubers uncomfortable, and at this point try to avoid you in some ways. And I have older friends. Sorry, but it was a joke. Sorry you took it seriously, and sorry you can't see that you do the same thing and can't realize your actions. Yes, I admit sometimes I cannot take a joke. No, not only that, but you do it back. God, I swear, it's always the why and not how we got here. I swear, dude. Yeah, I definitely took this the wrong way. Like, I literally put those emojis there for an expression. I thought of you as older folk and I thought I could be cool with you. But apparently not. Yeah, I'm too stupid. Overly dramatic emojis, dude. When I send messages, I send those messages with a blank face. I'm not sitting drooling over my keyboard. What? Nasty. Yeah, gotta sit here, bro, I swear. You're 12. People like you makes me want to walk away from it all and just go be with the older folks. I hang out with younger folks because no one else does. And I just shot that down. Yep, pretty much. And I will admit it. Why? Because I'm honest and I don't lie. Yeah, I'm 100% in the wrong here. I hate it when I do this. Yeah, you should. You really should. But you should continue. No, I'm sorry, and I don't think you'll forgive me, but I just want to say sorry. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go beat myself up. Okay. Doesn't hit right, does it? Huh? With this set of screenshots, there's a bunch to unpack in here. First of all, he sends me a screenshot, and that screenshot is of a conversation I had between someone else who essentially told on me to Jaxson. because I wasn't aware that they were still friends. And yeah, they essentially wanted to give Jaxson a heads up that I was essentially talking about him. With that, Jaxson decides that he wants to make me feel as bad as possible for what I said, despite the fact that he knew what he did. And frankly, at the time, since I was 12, I wasn't really good with confrontation. I barely really had any confrontations, especially with people older than me. Keep in mind, at this time, I've been told to always respect adults' authority, regardless of who they are. If they're an adult, you need to respect them. So for an adult to be upset with me, especially an adult that I considered to be a friend, or he considered to be my friend, you know what I'm trying to say. It really upset me and honestly made me nervous because, they're an adult. Also, on top of that, I've heard what Jaxson sounds like when he gets angry, especially back then. And it really rattled me at the time. So during the situation, I was not only reading that he was upset with me, but in my head, I was picturing, or more so thinking of his voice while this stuff was happening. And that just made everything worse. So naturally, my response was to sort of just try and de-escalate the situation. But obviously that didn't seem to work because that only seemed to make Jaxson more angry. And I'm sure that he knew at the time that him doing this would, or him seeming angry, would sort of get to me due to the reasons that I explained a couple seconds ago. So he was basically continuing to be like, oh, I'll have to give you the cold shoulder. You ruined basically everything that I had set up. You ruined the fact that I like to interact with my fans, da 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 da. And when I sent him the screenshots that he will be seeing in a moment, and I said that they just didn't fully sit right with me, he immediately deflects it back towards me, saying, you can't even use that towards me because you've also been inappropriate with people. Now, on that topic, I do admit that back then I was very out of line with some of the stuff I used to say. And I'm not trying to defend my actions. However, at the time, I thought that was how to be funny. Back before COVID hit, when I still was in school, I was friends with a bunch of boys, and they often expressed a bunch of crude and inappropriate humor. And that used to get everybody to laugh. So I thought if I do the same thing, I'd get people to laugh and I'd get people to like me. However, I didn't quite think of the fact that when using this towards people that were older than me, it could be seen as uncomfortable or, bad, or get results like how I got with Jaxson. So in that, I want to apologize for my previous self, and frankly, I do feel sorry. And when I think about how I was back then, I truly regret it, and it makes me cringe to even think about. However, that does not give Jaxson the authority or the permission to make inappropriate jokes back to a 12-year-old as a 20-year-old. As an adult, and especially as an adult content creator, you know better. You should know better. You should know way better than to indulge in those types of jokes with a minor, despite, no matter how you could have meant it. Even if you meant it as a joke, if you weren't serious about it, which frankly, I don't believe, but regardless of the fact, no matter how you put it, you will always be in the wrong because you are talking inappropriately to a minor as an adult. If it truly made people uncomfortable, and if it made you uncomfortable at the time, you should have either distanced yourself from me or Truly, you shouldn't have even encouraged me to make said jokes, because I remember you did. Instead of encouraging me to make those jokes, you should have shut me down. I promise you, if you had really put your foot down and been like, hey, you can't make these types of jokes for da 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 da, I would have stopped, because I respected adults' authority way more than I do now. I respected them. I would have listened to you, but no, you decided to take your own little different route and joked back with me. These aren't jokes, Jaxson. Regardless of how you put them, these aren't jokes. Peach and grabbing emoji, swatting emoji. Bring your chocolate ass here. No. She said yes. Yay. Another swatting emoji. No. If you say so. Go to horny jail. Damn, girl. No. You right now with... Okay, bro. You know. Yeah, I'm not reading all that. I'm sure this doesn't need any explanation. This is blatantly just an inappropriate conversation for a 20-year-old to be having with a 12-year-old. For this next part, I want to start off by saying that this instance occurred in a VC. A VC I don't have records of, as at the time I wasn't aware of what clipping software was. Not like I would have thought to use it, considering I didn't think I would have to use it against Jaxson. That being said, I implore you to take what I have to say with a grain of salt, as despite the fact I have no reason to lie on Jaxson, words alone are not evidence. This is more so to voice a different experience I've had with Jaxson, one despite how long it's been has stuck with me since, causing me to remember specific details about that day that I don't think I would have remembered otherwise. This specific experience, I believe, was the true start of my suspicion of Jaxson and has stuck with me for this long due to how much it made my skin crawl when it happened. I remember it was later in the day, whatever day it was, but I knew that I had finished all my schoolwork because at the time I was trying to figure out how to download Baldi's Basics on my old, just clanky MacBook, because stuff is impossible to install in MacBooks. But I had figured it out, but I realized it was the wrong version, but I played it anyways. And at the time, there was nothing going on in Jonin Squad, but I saw that Jaxson was in VC with another person, the person that ended up ratting me out to Jaxson. So I decided to join. Now, at this time, I believe this was the same day I had gotten Nitro, because I remember when I joined, I remember putting some siren emojis in the chat for whatever reason, and Jaxson saw them and he told me to boost his server. But I didn't have Nitro. I didn't have the Nitro with the boost. I had the classic Nitro. So I told him I was unable to, and he seemed disappointed, but obviously he let it go, because what are you going to do about that? So as I'm playing Baldi's Basics, I forgot what exactly we were talking about, but I remember at one point, seemingly out of nowhere, he was just like, "Gotcha, take off your panties." And at first, when he first said it, it like caught me a bit off guard. So I just giggled nervously. I probably said something like bruh or something like that, just to like, sort of giggle it, laugh it off. But then he said it 2 more times, to which the third time I was finally like, no, thank you. Like, clearly uncomfortable, because why are you continuing to say that? And for a moment, he was silent until he finally said, "Learn how to take a joke, gotcha." And I remember it was that specifically that really took me aback, because when he said that, he sounded almost irritated that I sounded uncomfortable, which confused me because, first of all, why are you saying that? And second of all, you clearly see that I'm saying no and that I'm uncomfortable. But when you say it, when when you hear me say that, you sound irritated. I feel like him saying that was the main part that really like got under my skin and what made me the most uncomfortable about that situation. From the information that I have and the new information I've seen about Jaxson and his most recent controversy outbreak, it's clear to see that he, in fact, has not learned his lesson from 2020. He still had allegations of being inappropriate around minors, which, as you can see, he's not new to the concept of doing that. On top of the fact that Jaxson has on multiple accounts been shown to be a manipulator and a gaslighter, it's in general difficult to take anything Jaxson says at face value. I believe that the only reason why Jaxson quote-unquote apologized to his community in that paragraph he sent during his first controversy was simply because he didn't want to lose the people that looked up to him, not because he was genuinely sorry for his actions. However, saying that he apologized would be more of a drastic overstatement, considering that throughout that entire paragraph, about 97% of it was just him making excuses. Now, while I don't care enough about the Trump thing to really go into it, especially considering the fact that Jaxson overall is not a great person, like from what I've seen, so I would not be surprised if he truly were a Trump supporter. In context to him quote-unquote being comfortable around people in his server because there were quote-unquote less eyes on him, does that not sound odd to say in general? You are quite literally insinuating that the only reason you stopped acting a certain way was because more people were focusing on you as a person and that more people could potentially call you out for your odd behavior. And speaking of which, let me remind you that Jaxson often tried to make me feel guilty for what I did by insisting that it caused him to no longer interact with his communities. Yet, when you look in Team Sonic Gaming, he's messaging in that server every single day.
And hold up, pause for a moment because let me mention something else. Jaxson, I've noticed that you've continuously tried to use the fact that, oh, it's been 6 years and that, oh, she's just coming out about this now, to your defense to try and push the narrative that I'm a liar. The two main reasons as to why this has never truly been spoken on until now is because back then you manipulated me into thinking that I was wrong. And at this time, although I remembered how your actions towards me made me feel, I was never truly able to find the proof of what you did as I thought it died with my old account. However, upon refinding it, I was truly able to realize that yes, my memory did serve me right about you. You were in fact a screwed up predator towards me. And let's say I did have the proof all this time and I just never decided to say anything about it until now. So what? That doesn't make me any less of a credible person. Victims of grooming and even SA in general go days, months, years, their entire lives without telling anybody about their experiences. That doesn't make what happened to them any less horrible. And if a victim of something horrible were to come out and say something happened to them years after it happened, it should be taken no less seriously than if it happened to them like an hour ago. You trying to use my prolonged silence about what you did to me against me is not only irrelevant, but it shows everyone how much of a sick and manipulative head you are.
So not only is what Jaxson said to me blatantly not true, but even if what I said I experienced wasn't true, he's still doing the same crap that got him in trouble back in 2020. How many times is he going to slip up and make excuses for it before he finally takes accountability? How many times will he continue to blame these situations on others or misunderstandings until he realizes that he may be the problem? No, not only will he refute that, but he will be extremely condescending to you and make you question yourself when you begin to question him. Despite the fact that you may be right about something, he will quite literally make you discredit yourself and make you look crazy just to save his own skin, disregarding how much that in general would mess your mind up. He will genuinely never take accountability, and that in and of itself makes him a dangerous person to be around.
If you have gotten this far, I first want to thank you for watching through this video all the way and listening to my story. I have mostly been silent about this for the last 6 years, and it's been weighing on me that not only have I not really had the grounds to tell this to anyone, but that I had assumed that Jaxson was spinning his own story about what happened, to which it seems that I was correct. However, now that he's already built another community and has supposedly been problematic in that one as well, I feel like I finally have the grounds to really speak up about my experiences with Jaxson all those years ago. That being said, I also want to take a moment and apologize to you all. I wish that I had been around a month ago when the first wave of controversy with Jaxson hit. I saw how much it rattled the community and how much it upset those that still decided to stay by Jackson's side. I truly empathize with you all with the fact that I have put you guys through this all over again. I know how it feels to realize that someone you have idolized is not the person you thought they were. It's a very sucky feeling, and it may make you feel as if you were betrayed, because technically you were. Jaxson hid this information from you so you'd fall for the person he wanted you to believe that he was, specifically hiding a very important part of his past just for his own personal gain. That, in and of itself, is manipulative, perfectly displaying who Jaxson truly is at heart. Despite the fact that I do not believe that he deserves the community that he has, the purpose of me making this video isn't to try and tear down his community. It is to bring awareness to who the true person behind Teen Sonic Gaming is. Now that you all know the truth, it is up to you to decide if you want to give him your continued support. But all I ask of you is to not accept a simple apology. Make him take accountability for what he's done, or else he'll realize that he can continue to do stuff like this and get away with it.
By now, I'm sure you're thinking of a way to make excuses for everything I've shown here. You're trying to find a way to downplay this all or turn it back on me. However, at the end of the day, what you did back then is nothing short of predatory. I have been rather silent about all this for the past 6 years. However, not only did you claim that I was crazy and that I was quote unquote lying on you, but now you have a whole other community with a bunch of children in it, which you've also allegedly continued to repeat your actions with that you did to me 6 years ago. I simply cannot let that slide. Your community deserves to know what you did. It is their right, considering how much they support and take up for you, and you are disgusting and predatory for hiding it from them. And since I know that you'd never give them the truth, I decided that I finally would, and I'm giving them the truth in a way that you can't just downplay or explain away. Instead of lying to everyone and claiming that you were a victim of circumstance, take accountability for what you did, what you have done. And before you attempt to spin the narrative that, oh, I'm lying, take a moment to think, what reason would I have to lie on you? Up until you shunned me for being suspicious of your bad behavior, I truly loved being around you. We were cool. You made me a mod in your server like shortly before all of this started popping off. We would still be friends if you didn't do what you did. So if that's the case, again, why would I lie on you? You're going to continue to make these baseless claims until you've backed yourself into a corner. Each lie you make will come back and bite you until people truly see who you are and they begin to not trust you. All I can really say is, for the videos of yours that I've shown and referenced, don't private or delete them. Let your community see what I've linked and let them form their own opinion of you. Because why would you hide anything if you've done nothing wrong? Take accountability for your actions, Jaxson. If for not giving me closure, then do it for the community you claim to care so much about. It's the least they deserve.